Hello again, welcome back to the lab at Kaffa Roastery. I'm Mike Akins. Another YouTube video because we have more new coffees. And finally, it's pretty exciting, we have like a whole range. Green, purple, and 2 blues, but they're very different blues. We're gonna get to that in a minute. First, like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave comments about the video, and also it'd be really cool if you could leave some comments about what kind of videos you want to see other than just me chit-chatting about coffees. So at Kaffa Roastery on YouTube, also at Kaffa Roastery on Instagram. Get in there, like and subscribe. And then you should also be subscribing to Home Coffee, Kaffa Cooking. Home delivery is definitely the best way to get coffee delivered straight to your house. We mix it all up, you get stuff early. If you're a subscriber, you already got these. Then we don't have this problem. So here we go, new coffees. This is a pretty nice dynamic. On the African side, we have super aggressive and dynamic taste, really rich, full-bodied Kenya. It's a classic. A lot of people think it's the best coffee in the world, always from Kenya. I can totally see that argument. They are really good. They have acidity, they have some bitterness at the end, they have all kind of fruits in the middle, a lot of like ripe berries and really exciting stuff to play with. On the Ethiopian side, this is going to be your other people who will say like, this is the best coffee ever. And for light roasted coffee, fruity, floral, super delicate. So you do need to be a little bit careful with them, but it's always worth it when you get them spot on. They are so good. You really won't find that kind of floral flavors anywhere else. So we got Kenya and Ethiopia, and then we got 2 Guatemalas. These are actually both from the same producer, but here you can showcase variety, both anaerobic processings, but very different coffees. Guatemala tends to be they're high in acidity, but they have this really nice like mineral quality to them that gives you a nice like round mouthfeel and always very juicy. So lots of exciting stuff to play with there. On the African side, both these coffees are what you call traditional washed. So it means they pick it and they peel the skin off, and then it goes straight into the washing channels and they wash it all the way clean. And then it ferments in clean water, and they actually rinse it again, and they should do another soaking process to help the coffees balance out their moisture, and it helps keep the structure of these coffees. These 2 from Guatemala are both anaerobically fermented. This one for 48 hours and this one for 50 hours. In Guatemala, they tend to do a little bit longer longer fermentations anyway, because I think it's because of the temperatures there. In Africa, you're drying and fermenting at much kind of higher temperatures. Whereas Guatemala, even when it's warm, when they're picking, it's warm in the day, but it gets very cold at night. So a lot of these coffees are actually fermented overnight. So that extra fermentation will help counteract the lower temperatures. And then these are both patio dried, and these are dried on raised beds. But if you're really good at patio drying, like our friends from La Bolsa, the coffees come out amazing. Yeah, so these are traditional African raised beds, which just means that they make these basically wooden patios with mesh underneath, so the air flows really nicely. These are patio dry, but the key is you got to have a really good system for mixing them around. And on the patios at La Bolsa, they have a really good system of like tagging coffees, and then they're raking them around, and all during the day, especially when it's hot, they're raking them so they don't sit too long and get baked out on the patio. Let's talk about the flavor world. We'll start with Kenya. A lot of people have been waiting for this one, Tano and Dogo. This is one we've had before. The town is called Gitwe, the village is called Gitwe, and they're Kiambu County, and it is in the Nyeri region, which is like the most famous of the Kenya region. So most of the really, really good coffees come from that section. Yeah, 1,850 meters. We're getting a lot of like really intense, but like well-ripened acidic berries. And this punaherukka, and then also a lot of like rhubarb, but it should also be on the sweet side. So we try to make sure we develop it enough so that you're gonna be able to get those flavors extracted, but the cup should be very intense and a lot of people say bold coffee, and that comes up a lot, but this is actually a bold coffee. Yeah, like I said, full-bodied, like great acidities and lots of things to play with. On the Ethiopian side, fruity and floral. The flavors are sometimes even more dynamic, but they are very subtle. They're light coffees. They're, you know, white flowers and some peaches and nectarines sometimes. Gelbesa is one we have not actually had before. So this is a new one for a Kaffa Roastery to have, but it is similar to the flavor profiles are similar to the other wash coffees we've had, but fruity and floral, really, really good stuff. On the Guatemalan side, this is really exciting. So one of our longest handshake partners is the Vitas family from La Bolsa. They have started, you know, historically they've had some smaller micro lots, and we've had those before. Las Terrazas is one that we have all the time. This Los Pinos is actually a new farm section in their family. It essentially is a lot higher than the rest of them. So it's 1,900 meters above sea level, which is really high, as opposed to the Pacamara, which grows down around 1,700. The cool thing about these beans, you're going to notice they're really small, even for Guatemala. Guatemalan beans are sort of like small, but they're really uniform. They're not as small as Brazil, and they're not as small as Ethiopia. But in this high altitude, your beans aren't going to grow as big, but they're going to conserve their energy, that struggle all the way up at 1,900 meters, but they're going to pack a lot of flavor into those small beans. So this is also anaerobically fermented, which means that it's sealed off from oxygen, so in barrels. And for 50 hours or 48 hours, sorry, and that's a long anaerobic fermentation. So but the cool thing about this is you get this really nice acidity. The cup is so complex. Red apples, cherries, and really even some floral notes at the end. And the red apple acidity is just really nice. I was going to say this is a classic Guatemalan, but it is very much like some other washed Guatemalans. But with the anaerobic fermentation, really, I think gives it the intensity and the dynamic qualities that you look for in a really excellent coffee. The Pacamara, I always love these coffees because they're really big beans, but they are tricky to grow. A lot of people grow Pacamara, and the problem with it is because it gets so big, it's really easy for it to not have any flavor at all. So when you go to roast it, it's kind of just a big hollow bean, and it tastes okay, but it gets kind of burny or ashy or this like tobacco-y flavor that's not great. But I know they've been growing Pacamara at La Bolsa for a long time, and so they've had many years to figure this out. So this one is an anaerobic fermentation, which is again sealed in barrels, grown around 1,700 meters. But they've really intensified the flavor. So this round is so sweet. It's not very acidic at all. It's a really soft, kind of gentle coffee, but it has such a big body in the middle, and the sweetness is really intense. I would say if you've ever smelled like sweet tobacco, not like roasted or burned or smoking tobacco like you have, but like sweet tobacco, you get that in here, and this is kind of the best version of Pacamara that I've had in a long time. So really soft and super sweet. So in terms of brew methods, how do you brew these? This one is going to be quite good. Pour overs, I could say French press would be really good with this, like nice gentle extractions. You can extract them a long time, but you don't need to like grind it very fine. So a coarser grind size, and if it's tasting like it's a little bit too watery, just leave it a little bit longer, or put a little bit more coffee, but not too much more. So yeah, this is gonna be a nice soft coffee. Morning would be awesome. It's like a nice warm hug. So this Los Pinos, try as espresso, because this is intense coffee, so it's gonna have a lot of stuff to extract. So you can play with that a lot. Then also as your standard pour overs, this will be great. So when I say standard pour over, I mean like V6s and Chemixes, but also in your home coffee machine, because essentially that is a pour over coffee. But it just does the pouring for you. Paper filters, this one will be really good like I said, French press or metal filters will work really well with this. Same thing here with the Ethiopia, like I said, you gotta be really careful with the extraction, but it's well worth it to just take your time, make a small amount at a time, and don't rush it. With the Kenya, it's gonna be similar to this, really intense. This gives you a lot of room to play around. Like pour overs are obviously good. Chemex. I love Kenyan coffee in these big Chemexes because they have that thick paper. It really filters out all the fat, but you get this like really nice acidity. So Chemex, and then definitely in espresso, but be ready that it will be acidic. So you're probably going to want to run it a little bit longer, but it's a light roasted Kenyan, so you're not going to get like burning aftertaste at the end. Kenya, pour over, big Chemexes, espresso. Ethiopia, light, fruity, keep that in mind. Light, take it easy extractions, very subtle flavors. Soft and gentle, Pacamara, super sweet. Los Pinos, the dynamic cousin. Really exciting stuff. I'm super happy to hear what you guys think about these coffees. Would be great to get some comments on this YouTube channel. Keep the conversation going. Come down to the cafe, ask the baristas what's their favorite way to brew these. Surely they will have some like tips and hints. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Tell us what you love and what other kind of videos you want to see. I'm happy to stand here and talk all day. Then also Instagram at Kaffa Roastery, YouTube at Kaffa Roastery, and get on your Kaffa subscription because then you get these coffees delivered straight to your house in the mail slot. As always, enjoy the coffee, and we will see you hopefully soon. Did I really talk about everything? I did, didn't I? Smoked. I was going to tell them to put milk on the Kenya, but